Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the C Squared podcast. It's been a while. A lot of things have happened in the chess world. Fabi, you've played a couple of matches as well. We've had some world championships. I'm sure we will get into that in just a second. The Speed Chess Championship has been progressing, and finally we've had a couple of important results that I'm sure we will discuss. And a couple of big tournaments are coming up as well, and we will touch on that also. But first and foremost, how's it going, man? How's life? How's everything? We haven't chatted on camera, at least, for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's been a while. Actually, I can't remember exactly when we did the last one. I think it was in Zagreb, right?
We did the last one after Zagreb, so we did it online after we each got back to our respective homes, I think.
Yeah, it's been a busy. Oh yeah, I remember. That was before I went to Jamaica.
Correct.
Talking about that. Yeah, so it's been a busy few weeks. Went to Jamaica, came back. This is in time for the tournaments in St. Louis that are starting in 5 days from the time that we're recording this. I guess they might be close to starting after this actually gets published. And a bunch of events have happened that one I wasn't a part of, the World Rapid and Blitz Team Championship. It's called a World Championship, but I don't really think it makes sense to call it that, so let's just call it.
It's a new World Championship.
Yeah, you can call it what you want. You can call it a World Championship or not, but I mean, you could always attach words to things. It's a pretty informal event because you have. The format is you have a bunch of teams, anyone can create a team, and you have to have 4 players of any level, so you can stack the top 4 boards. You have to have a woman's board, and you have to have an amateur board, which means I think that the player can never have been over the rating 2000. So that board is also very interesting because as we saw, the team from China, they had what was basically like a golden ticket on their board because they had a player who was basically unrated. Named Pang Bo.
Pang Bo, the Chinese dragon.
Yeah, he didn't have a rating, but he was probably around FIDE master level. I mean, this is an estimation. I don't know, of course, his level, if we can even get an accurate reading on that. But he was very strong for the board, and he mopped up. He got 11 out of 11.
Yeah, immediately after about 4 rounds, my estimate was about 2200.
Yeah, that could, let's say he's playing players of very varying strengths. Maybe some are like 17, 1800 strength, some are maybe 1400 strength, right? Maybe someone, or even lower than that. But whatever their strength, he was clearly better than everyone else on that board. So I was estimating like maybe 2200, maybe 2300, but I felt like he was a bit raw in terms of his understanding in some games from what I saw, but he's a very competent player, so he won every game. He just was like a dominant force on that board.
Just to put things in perspective, he came into the tournament with 1400. 1400 is the rating you get when you first start playing chess. This is a huge gap between 1400 and whatever our estimate is, 2200. That's 5-6 years of continuous progress, more or less. So the guy definitely has some experience. He just simply never played a FIDE-rated event, but I'm sure he played a lot of chess in China and probably has a pretty significant education in terms of chess. He probably studied it at a young age, played, competed against other Chinese players, but simply never had the opportunity to showcase that at an international level. So yeah, obviously everybody kind of understood that that the Chinese team will have a pretty significant edge on that final board.
Yeah, and the winners in the end were this team, I believe, from Dubai.
Al Ain, yes, in the rapid portion.
From the Emirates, I don't know if Dubai or some other city, but I think it was an Emirati team. And they won the rapid, and the blitz was won by the WR chess team, which is a chess team sponsored by Vadim Rosenstein. That's why WR. And they were the favorites. That was a team with Magnus and with Nepomniachtchi and with Pragnanta and actually Duda and so on and so forth. Like really, really strong team. Keimer, a lot of top players. Yeah,
Absolutely stacked team.
Really, really strong team. They had like best top four boards. They had the top woman in the world, although this is debatable because Hou Fan is inactive these days. Like she's a truly great player, but she isn't a very active player, and she was clearly number one woman in the world for a long period. But these days, I think it's debatable. If you're inactive for so long, then definitely, I wouldn't say she's like clearly stronger than Wen Jun, for example. They also had another world champion. So Wen Jun, Hou Fan was world champion, and Kostanuk was also on the team, also former world champion. But they were that board was not clear to me. Like if they were the strongest, because Wen Jun was on the Chinese team, and Wen Jun is really strong too.
Yes,
and their amateur board, who Vadim was playing on the amateur board, he was struggling. So in the Rapid, they didn't manage to. I think they got bronze. They didn't manage to win. They were the favorites, but they didn't manage to win. And I actually thought China could at some point be the favorite. That was my feeling. But in the end, it was the Al Ain team. Which I just want to make sure it's actually getting the country right of the team.
No, Al Ain for sure won. I think it's a
I know that, but I want to make sure that they are an Emirati team.
UAE team, yes.
Yeah.
Team. With a lot of Russian players, actually.
That was Dubov, Artemiev, Lucknow, Parham was playing on the team. Artemiev, Maksulu, Duda, Merzin. But yeah, really Andrekin. So it's a very strong team. And Lucknow was their women's board, and Merzin was like their young guy.
Yes.
Yeah, so very strong team. Like a bit of a surprise that they won, but definitely a possibility that they could win. So anyway, it was an interesting event. I followed, although I think the broadcast was not great. I mean, it was hard to follow. Sometimes the DGT was just failing, and then you can't follow the games because they're trying to do it by camera, but you have this weird camera angle. You can't really like make out the action without a relay board. So yeah, the broadcast definitely left something to be desired, but it was a fun event, and the Blitz was won by WR, and Magnus in the Blitz was very, very strong, and a fun event to watch.
Yeah, speaking of the broadcast, I feel this is one of the things that really need to be addressed, especially with the upcoming Rapid and Blitz World Championship in New York. I mean, obviously FIDE was the organizer for this one, will be the organizer for that one. They probably know what they need to work on, but I feel this has been a big problem in the world of chess, and especially in Rapid and Blitz events for a while now. Like, you very often get this very patchy delay and relay of the boards as well, especially in Blitz. Like, you get sometimes 20 seconds without any moves being displayed, and then suddenly it jumps to a completely different situation on the board, position on the board. So it's just, as a spectator, you cannot follow that. And the commentators, sure, they could maybe do a better job, but how do you do a better job when you don't even see the moves that are happening on the board? So I feel, we're an entrepreneurial podcast as well. We're a business entrepreneurship. Are we discussing politics? We're discussing definitely animals and all sorts of things on the C-Squared podcast.
But what does politics have to do with the relay?
No, I'm just saying that we're a podcast that discusses all sorts of topics.
Yeah. I mean, sure. I still don't see the connection. But yeah, I agree that FIDE could do a better job with their broadcast. Like, the thing is, when you compare the FIDE to like the St. Louis Chess Club broadcast, the St. Louis broadcasts go very smoothly, and they don't have any board glitches. But they do deal with, let's say, 6 boards or something like that, 5 boards, usually somewhere around that. While the FIDE events deal with, 40 boards, 80 boards, whatever it is.
It's probably going to be more during the World Rapid and Blitz.
Yeah, during the World Championship, you might have like 160 players. You got 80 boards there, and of course, a lot of them you're not following at all. You're following the top boards, but still, you could have glitches. That can happen. But still, you have a lot of money going into these events and a big prize pool and a lot of top players. You definitely want to get the broadcast running smoothly because you're going to have an event like that. You're going to have thousands of people tuning in, and you can get tens of thousands for sure tuning in on your main broadcast channel, whatever it is. Because, like, let's say the World Championship, you'll have 100,000+ people tuning in for sure. The World Rapid Blitz Championship, definitely you'll get tens of thousands who are going to see, Magnus and all the other top players who are playing. And yeah, why not? Why not ensure? I mean, of course, I'm sure they do try to ensure that they have a smooth broadcast, but it does tend to be sometimes a bit patchy, as you mentioned. And anyway, we'll see how that goes for the World Rapid Blitz Championship. Like, from my point of view, of course, I don't care too much when I'm playing. Like, if the broadcast has some issue, okay, it's under my control, and also it doesn't really affect me when I play. But as a spectator, and I was a spectator for the team event, right? I wasn't playing there. You can notice it. I was like, I didn't watch it with great enthusiasm only because of that. Because at some point I was like, also they took this. I think it has to be avoided. You have like 2 hours of playing, and then you have a 1 hour break. I know that they have like a lot of organizational stuff and a lot of boards and resetting the boards, the clocks, and so on, doing the pairings. But a 1 hour break, I'm not sitting through that. I'm just not going to watch it. Like, I can watch 2 hours, but then a 1 hour break, I'm not like tuning in after that, right? I'm gonna.
Yeah, that's a huge problem as well. And it's not an easy one to fix. I have a feeling that one is much more difficult to fix than, the patchy relay of the moves. Just because, especially when you have so many teams, so many players, there will be problems with not having too many arbiters, not getting the results in time, making sure that the pairings are correct. So this whole system is a very clogged system, and that's going to take 10-15 minutes to get the pairings up. Then you have to wait for the players. You have to give the players some time to get back to their boards, things of that nature. And the more players you have, the worse it gets. So this one, I feel, is a much more difficult problem to address than the relay.
Yeah, that's an issue, of course, with a big event. But somehow you have to manage it because, of course, it's fine to have an event which is just for the chess players. But if you're going to like try to make it a spectator-friendly event, big breaks are just not going to cut it. We see with the chess.com events, they have very, very small breaks, which is tough for the players, I have to admit. Like, I just played the Speed Chess Championship, 2 matches there, and we have 6 minutes. 6 minutes. We have 2 6-minute breaks and 2 10-minute breaks in the entire event.
But I don't think they're comparable. I just don't think they're comparable. Like,
of course, because you don't have pairings there. Yeah, I understand. It's different. You don't have to like reset boards. It's all online. It's all automatic. But still, okay, it's a difficult thing.
And then you get the situations like we had at the World Rapid and Blitz where there was a complaint. I think it was Andrew Hong when he played against Yu Yangyi, if I'm not mistaken, or Wei, one of the Chinese players. And
it was Yu Yangyi.
Yu Yangyi, yeah. And that took, if I remember correctly, something like an hour to be solved. Even Jan complained about it, made a fuss about it. But that was a big problem there as well.
It was actually a mess. I think we spoke about it back in December. But yeah, it was. It wasn't the fault of the players. Basically, there was a clock dispute. Like, Andrew Hong flagged, but he said that he pressed the clock and it didn't register. And then he issued an appeal because he flagged, so he lost. He issued an appeal. The appeal was denied, and the time that it took to deny the appeal was like an hour, maybe an hour and a half.
Exactly.
One of the issues was, of course, that they also had to like translate at some point. Although Andrew Hong and Yu Yangyi both speak Mandarin, as far as I know, they were communicating fine. But then there was like communication issues with the organizers and Yu Yangyi, and it just took a long time. The problem there, of course, was that they could not postpone the decision because it affects the pairings for the next round. So you basically have to deal with it at the moment. But but yeah, it was a nightmare for the other players playing because you have like a 1.5 hour break. You're just sitting around there and you have nothing to do, and it's already like a 6 hour day of chess, so it's pretty tiring. But okay, I think that's up to the organizers to basically resolve it very quickly, like within 20 minutes. They basically just have to make a decision very quickly. They check the video replay, they make a quick decision, whatever it is, and then we go on to the next round. Like they took a bit too long with that stuff. Anyway, that's far in the past, right? We
No,
and
just to give you kind of examples of problems that can arise with this type of events, and the problem of breaks, which I understand it's very annoying, especially from a broadcast perspective. Just for the spectators, you're never going to watch that. Just compare it to, I guess, the Olympics. Right now, when one sport finishes, you don't wait for the next person from that particular sport to begin his competition. You just go to a different sport. So it's very easy, right? But in chess, we don't have that luxury, let's say. So yeah, it's a tricky one, especially when you have more players involved in the competition.